So, good afternoon, everybody. You are very welcome to this webinar. Great to see so many people participating there too. We're going to just, by means of a quick introduction, just let a few people, give time for participants to join the webinar. A couple of kind of key things to point out to begin with. We will be recording this session, so the video will be available then afterwards for sharing around, or if there's any key bits of information or any questions you might have for particular participants, it'll give you a chance to reflect back on it and view the footage. The important thing is, from your own privacy point of view, because this is a webinar, the recordings will only show the people who are actually speaking on camera. So that is only anybody that's on the panel, or myself, Ronan, who is your host for the afternoon. And as I said, the video will be made available. Feel free to share it with people afterwards when it's made available to you. A couple of quick things. This webinar is being brought to you in a partnership between the Laois Offaly Department of Social Protection in partnership with the Laois Offaly Education and Training Board. And they're going to bring you information on the range of supports available to job seekers in the local region, with an emphasis on new and emerging labour market trends and skill requirements. We all know the last year in particular has caused a lot of businesses to re-examine what they need in terms of skills. There's been a lot of disruption, a lot of upheaval, and indeed a lot of uncertainty too. So it could also be a time maybe to look at areas that maybe you always wanted to get into, or an area maybe where you have pre-existing skills that maybe could be transferred over. So to kind of back up what the LOETB and the DSP are going to talk about today, we're also going to have some guest speakers from different industries that are actively recruiting, and indeed will be recruiting extensively once restrictions are lifted and we get back to being open once again. The title of today's session is Supports for Job Seekers, Preparing for Work and Employers who are currently recruiting as well. You're going to be informed on that range of payment supports to facilitate your return to work, and you're going to be guided on how best to train and upskill, and maybe what experience you might need if you were to move into another role or to look at a new industry sector. And of course, we'll speak to those employers from around the area too, who are currently advertising vacancies on their websites and the various job platforms. And they'll just give that little overview of the types of skills and experience that they will be specifically looking for. We invite you to put up any questions you might have throughout the webinar, either for any of the participants or else for general questions that you might like addressed by the LOETB, because alongside myself, there's a team from LOETB sitting online there. They're prepared to take any questions you might have or get you the information that you might like to use. So to do that, there's a Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. You'll see it there. You can put a question in and you can share it with us, the panelists, as well. That gives us a chance then to see if there's any common themes that are emerging in the questioning, and we can put them towards the best person, or we can field them to a panel discussion towards the end as well. So to begin today, our first speaker is Edel Fitzpatrick from the Department of Social Protection. Edel, you're very welcome, and I will pass the floor over to you.
Thank you, Ronan. As Ronan mentioned, Edel Fitzpatrick is my name. I work as an Employer Liaison Officer with the Department of Social Protection in Tullamore. And what that involves, I suppose, is helping employees identify suitable job opportunities with employers in the area, and likewise working with employers to find suitable candidates for them. I do have a small presentation that I'll go through in a moment, but just another vital element to our team that I'd like to mention, I suppose, in the intro office is the work of the case officer. Reason I would like to mention that is because I will be mentioning, I suppose, the work of the case officer throughout my presentation. And many of you may actually be working currently with case officers. Some of you may be awaiting to be assigned case officer, but I suppose the case officer is there to help you draw up a personal progression plan, which can consist of employment and or training actions to help you secure employment in the future. So just want to mention them because I will be referring to the case officer quite a bit in my presentation. So I'll just share my screen if I can here. Okay. So, like I said, the Department of Social Protection, and I'll just go through some job seeker supports that we have. Okay. Sorry. My computer is being a little bit slow today. What does Intro do for you? So Intro is a single point of contact for all employment and income supports, and it's part of the Department of Social Protection. We aim to do two main things: provide you with income support while you're unemployed and help you find a job. Details of all our schemes and services are available on the government's website, www.gov.ie/DSP. So the ways in which we can help, I have a slide on each of these individual topics, so we'll just list them out here. Job searching, CV and interview supports. So we have our jobsireland.ie website that I will talk further about. Self-employment, that may be an opportunity for some of you looking to work for yourselves, and we'll go through the support payments available to you there. Further education and training supports and referrals. I'll just touch on these because we have, thankfully, LOETB, Laois Offaly Education and Training Board, here today to also talk about the supports available there. We are responsible for CE and TUS programs, the employment programs, which we'll go through in more detail as a stepping stone back to employment. We'll also talk about Jobs Plus, one of the employment subsidies available to employers, but of benefit to you in trying to get your foot in the door with an employer. Some other in-work income supports, so then you've got the job and what supports are available to you when you're actually working. So firstly, jobsireland.ie, it's Intrio's free online job advertising and recruitment service. Many of you may already be registered. If you're dealing with a case officer, they would encourage you to register here. It's like any other job recruitment website. You can add a profile and be matched for, again, suitable vacancies in the locality. We have over 6,000 jobs available there nationwide at the moment. There's also information and training and CV and interview preparation tips available also. So that's www.jobsireland.ie. Let's see. Similarly, we have a European public employment service model. It works similarly to the Jobs Ireland and to the Intrio services, where we work with our counterparts in Europe. If somebody was considering working in one of the EU member states, we have EURES advisors. So they'll help you make contact with European employers, and there are also financial supports available if you're willing to work in another EU member state. So do make contact with us if that's something you're considering, and we'll point you in the right direction. So self-employment might be something that some of you are considering. If you're in receipt of a job seekers payment, you may be eligible to turn that into what's called either a short-term enterprise allowance payment or a back-to-work enterprise allowance payment. Typically, you would have discussions around this with your case officer. Firstly, to see if you're eligible, but also to put together a business plan to outline your business idea and how you're going to go about making money and becoming profitable. The short-term enterprise allowance payment, it essentially is the remainder of your job seekers benefit payment. So if there's 6 months remaining on your job seekers payment, your short-term enterprise allowance will continue to pay for that period. Alternatively, back-to-work enterprise allowance, if you're on a job seekers allowance payment, for those who are unemployed more than 9 months, you can start your own business and keep the full payment for 12 months and keep 75% of the payment for the second year. So it's a full 2 year of supports, of income supports, while you're also earning as a self-employed person. There's also grants available up to €2,500 applications made through the case officer, through the activation team within the Intrio section. That grant could cover things such as professional indemnity insurance, van sign writing, other equipment or products that you need for your business. So that's just a very brief, quick outline of of the opportunities there for someone considering self-employment. Training options. We can make training referrals and give you the information you need. However, LOE2V are the experts in this field, so we'll just touch briefly on this. We have a number of training centres dotted throughout Laois Offaly, offering day courses, evening courses, blended learning, which is your workshops and your online training blended into one. And then, of course, you have the e-college. We can make referrals for you to these courses. Springboard is another option. You can retain your job seekers payment while participating on a course, Springboard course. The TSG, Training Support Grant. This is where there isn't a course available locally in the area that you're looking to get trained up in. You know, it may not be available through LOETB or through any of the local training providers, only through private training providers. So we can support that by paying up to €500 towards the cost of a course. Again, applications are through the case officer. SkillNet. You could participate in SkillNet courses if you're unemployed, and it's at no cost to you, and you will retain your Jobseekers payment in full. Again, we can make referrals to those courses for you. If on the other hand, you're thinking of returning to education, full-time education, be it second level or third level, there's what's called back to education allowance. Again, applications through the case officer, and to qualify, you must be recommended by the case officer, meet the age criteria, be in receipt of certain social welfare payments, and be accepted onto a qualifying course. Community-based employment opportunities. These are under our remit: community employment, CE or TUS, which many of you may have heard of. Particularly, you know, in the local community, they make such an impact to our small organisations, our local communities. It's community-based placement programs, providing participants with an opportunity to get real work experience in providing local services. It's a great stepping stone to return to full-time employment. The work commitment is just 19.5 hours per week, and it can also include a training and certification element while working. Placements are typically for a year. I know if I mention some of the local examples, you'll all be familiar with Murisa Foundation, Youth Work Ireland, Caring in Offaly, Tullamore Social Services, Laois Community and Enterprise Development Company, and the Laois branch of Alzheimer's Society. They're just some of the community employment programs that are available as a stepping stone for you to get back into work. And they're particularly good if you're out of work a long time, you're nervous or you're anxious about getting back into work. So please, you know, give them some consideration. We have so many success stories from people participating in CE and TUS. Our TUS program has many sponsors also, including the GAA, rugby pitches, golf clubs, charity shops. So that's just to touch base on it. We do have further information about each of the vacancies available at the moment. So if you're interested, please do get in touch. Our contact details will be at the end. Another initiative to mention would be the Jobs Plus. It's a payment to encourage employers to employ job seekers who've been unemployed for 4 months or more and who satisfy certain conditions. The payment is made directly to the employer, and it's either a 7,500 or 10,000 grant, depending on the candidate, the job seeker's eligibility. It's paid monthly directly to the employer. But the reason I want to make you aware of that, I suppose, is if you're going for an interview, if you're talking to an employer about a possible job opportunity, please do make them aware of this, that you may be eligible for this grant. It could be the difference between you getting the job or not. You can check your eligibility on jobsplus.ie, a very simple, straightforward eligibility check. And a letter will issue to you stating your eligibility, and you present that to a potential employer or an employer. So any questions, again, please put them in the Q&A or contact us afterwards. We'd be delighted to help. So you've got the job and you're in work. What are you entitled to? You may be eligible to continue receiving some payments or apply for other payments. Just to mention a few, I'll start clockwise. Working family payment. It's a social welfare payment which provides income support for employees on low income. So there's a calculation method there, and we can top up your payment depending on your income. Back to work family dividend. You may be able to keep all or part of the child dependent portion of your job seeker payment for 2 years after getting a job. Housing assistance payment, that kind of replaced the rent supplement payment, and it's available through your local authority, so Laois Offaly local authorities. Social welfare payment, pending wages payment. Sometimes when you take up work, you may have to wait a week, 4 weeks for payment, a monthly salary. in that case, you can apply for assistance through community welfare services for supplementary welfare allowance. You may also be entitled to retain your medical card for a period of up to 3 years when you start work, worth noting. And also, if you have children under 15, you may be entitled to assistance under the National Childcare Scheme for childcare subsidies while working, or indeed on some of the placement programs also. So just to give you an idea of some of the vacancies that we're working with employers here in Offaly at the moment, and I know Laois have similar vacancies also. Many of these are on our Jobs Ireland website at the moment, and if not, they're in the process of going live because they're very recent. So we have warehouse operatives, trainee florist, qualified accountant, welders, fabricators with experience. There's training provided to service technicians opportunities, with general ops, social media events manager, and then we have some shop staff vacancies, and hairstylists, either full or part-time, will be considered by that employer. So that's just to give you a sample or flavour of the various different types of job opportunities we have and we're working with employers on. If you're interested in any of these vacancies, please email your CV to offalyjobs@welfare.ie and I will call you back afterwards. So that kind of concludes the presentation as such. Just to say thank you very much, and if you require any further information in relation to activation, supports, CE, TUS placements, job opportunities, tullamore@welfare.ie, or my own personal email address, edel.fitzpatrick@welfare.ie. Similarly in Laois, activation laois@welfare.ie, or my counterpart Vivian Graham in Laois, vivian.graham@welfare.ie. So just thank you very much, and just I suppose it's important to note that many people do go through a period of unemployment in their lives, and you know, the vast majority of people do actually go back to work. So this is just a glitch, and we're there to help you all the way. So thank you.
Thank you, Edel, and thank you for sharing your contact details there and those of your colleague Vivian Graham as well. So we're going to move on as well. We're going to find out more about the LOETB, and just bear in mind, still to come this afternoon, we'll be hearing from people such as Dara Cruz, the General Manager of the Midlands Park Hotel, from John McAvoy at Grow Remote, and from Bevan Kennedy, who's going to talk about NZEB regulations and retrofitting job opportunities. So we're going to bring you that kind of, industry, what's happening out there as well, the types of roles and vacancies that are currently available, and indeed will be available in the coming months and years. So I'd like to introduce now Jolene Hall from the LOETB, and Jolene's going to give an overview of the services that they provide. Thanks, Jolene.
Thanks a million, Ronan. You can see my presentation there?
Yes.
Perfect. Thanks a million. Good afternoon, everybody. You're all very welcome to our webinar. We're delighted to collaborate with Institute of Social Protection on this webinar, and hopefully we will continue to do so over the coming months. We have a very close relationship with the Department of Social Protection in both Laois and Offaly, and the referral process works really well between the two agencies. So Laois and Offaly Education and Training Board. So for people who aren't familiar, we are state funded to provide education and training programmes across the two counties. Our vision and core values are equality, collaboration, innovation, professionalism and integrity, and our ambition is to deliver high quality courses to meet the needs of learners and industry. We have 9 further education and training centres strategically located across Laois and Offaly region. Within all of those centres, we offer a range of programmes, so that would include full and part-time programmes. We have, I suppose, within the last year, what we have seen is the majority of our provision moving online due to COVID. But our programmes going forward, we will have a blended approach where we will have a classroom-based and online programmes. We offer programmes from non-accredited up to and including QQI level 6. And within that as well, we also manage the apprenticeship service. So people would be familiar with the traditional, I suppose, the craft apprenticeships, including plumbing, electrical, but there is also a range of new apprenticeships which are a lot more flexible in the areas such as chef, accountant, technician, and so on and so forth. Within our service, we also offer learner supports. So I know some people may be, thinking, I have been out of education for a long time, and I suppose there's that fear about returning to education. But just to say that we have learner supports in place. So if people, identify that they need some sort of one-to-one support, or maybe support in small groups, we can offer that. We offer supports around digital skills, assignment planning and writing, and for people, as I say, who have been away from that area, it's very daunting coming back in, but we are here to help along with our counterparts at DSP. We also, I suppose, all of our programs that we have on offer, they have progression pathways, so they lead into either employment or on to third level colleges. So all of our programs are developed in collaboration with industry, and we would have links with the AIT and also Carlow IT. So some of the programs that we would offer at level 5 and level 6 will link directly into higher education if you wish to progress and further your career. We've a learner-centred approach, so we are always interested, and I suppose listening to the learner voice. So and I suppose that has helped to inform our programs our programs as well. So where learners maybe would come back to us with suggestions around how the course could be delivered or some of the content, we're constantly, I suppose, changing and developing our content to meet the needs of the learners and industry. And again, as I say, all our programs, our aim is to deliver high quality provision to meet the needs of learners and industry. Alongside the 9 further education and training centres that we also have 2 centres of excellence. So the National Construction and Training Centre, which is based in Mount Lucas, and there we provide construction related training programs. So people might be familiar with the construction skills certification scheme for new entrants and experienced operators in a very, I suppose there's a variety of programs there to include site dumper, 360 excavator. We also there offer the UK changeover programme. Last year, we developed a traineeship in collaboration with industry. It's the skilled utilities operator traineeship. And basically that program is over 13 months and it's aimed at anybody who wants to work in the construction sector. I suppose looking at the maintenance, the laying of water line, inspection of those. It also includes a number of CSCS tickets and sign lighting and guarding and curbing, etc. Last year also we developed a scaffolding apprenticeship, again that was done in collaboration with industry and employers in that sector. That will run in Mount Lucas. It's a 2-year programme, it's at level 5 and it will start in September of this year. I'm not going to go into the NZEB and Retrofit area. Bevan is our expert in that area and Bevan will be, I suppose, joining us later on to talk about, I suppose, the changes in the construction industry. Our other centre of excellence is the Midland Skills Centre in Tullamore, and this centre it provides specialist training and upskilling for those who wish to seek employment in the biopharma or medical sector or medtech sector. And I suppose that was a need that was identified to us by the Regional Skills Forum, that there is job opportunities in this sector, and as part of that we are running a clean room and packaging traineeship, which is due to commence on the 4th of May. It's 18 weeks in duration, it's a full-time programme and it's aimed at anybody, as I say, who wants a career in that particular sector. We in the Midlands Skills Centre we have a simulated clean room facility which is state of the art. So as I go through this, if there is areas that you're interested in, I have put a form in the queue and in the chat function so people can follow up with us if they would like further information on any of the courses as we go through it. So just to go through, I suppose, some of the other training programs that we currently have on offer at the moment, and I suppose today we are really focusing on a couple of sectors. We're looking at the whole area of remote working, the hospitality sector, the construction sector, and digitalisation as well. So maybe I'm just going to go quickly through just some of the programs that are on offer at the moment, and you'll hear from Dara Cruz in a couple of minutes and he'll, I suppose, go through, I suppose, the job opportunities within the hospitality sector. And even when I look at Adele's slides and about the jobs that are available there at the moment, they all link really well together in terms of the training that we're offering and the job opportunities that are there currently. So the Hotel and Tourism programme, which is due to commence in Burr on the 10th of May. And this incorporates some level 4 modules, including customer service and reception skills. And also it includes, I suppose, modules such as barista training, CV assignment and IT workshop as well. The next one is the barista. And look, we see, I suppose, with all the coffee shops popping up everywhere, that barista has become, I suppose, huge over the last couple of years. The barista training with the customer service is due to commence on the 24th of May. It's in Tullamore. And the aim of the programme, I suppose, is to give people the skills required to work in this sector. Again, we have included some level 4 modules there in consultation with the hospitality sector. So we have workplace safety, customer service and barista training. And then the last one there on the list is the hospitality skills. It's due to commence on the 14th of June on Portlaoise FET. It's a 17-week full-time programme. And included in that you have accommodation techniques, meal service, customer service and IT skills. And I think, I know Lisa and Yvonne will talk about the IT skills later on. That really, I mean, in any job that we look at currently and into the future, digitalisation is a huge part of that. So I think it's important that it's incorporated into all programmes going forward. Just then on the construction side of things, as I say, Bevan will cover in more details around the NZEB and the retrofitting, but we have our house operations programme starting in Mount Lucas on the 5th of July. So it includes your forklift, your counterbalance, your reach, your safe pass, your manual handling, your power pallet truck and your warehousing. So basically you have the skills to go into an employer and to be, I suppose, be available and ready to hit the ground running, if you like. The next one is the construction studies with MIG welding. Again, it ties back in nicely to those jobs that Adele was mentioning earlier. We have concreting, floor and wall tiling, MIG welding, NZEB awareness, safe pass, so all those key skills that an employer will be looking for. The construction studies then, technology, which is based in Tullamore, that again incorporates kind of your AutoCAD, your engineering technology and processes, your NZEB awareness. That is a full-time programme which commences in September. And then that's actually the final one. And just on the last point, just to say that, as I say, one of the supports we have is our learner support, but we also have an adult education guidance information service in both Laois and Offaly. It's a free confidential service to adults who are considering returning to education or training, or for those working full or part-time that want to upskill or reskill. The service can advise on all aspects of returning to learning. And as I say, it's a free and confidential service. So if you are unsure in terms of if you're currently working and maybe you want to look at changing, you know, paths, what kind of courses that, you know what I mean, might be relevant to you, or what are the skills that you might need in order to progress into a different area, or if you're unsure, I suppose, as a job seeker of what direction you want to take your career, that service is there, it's available and it's free. And I would absolutely advise everybody to, I suppose, use that opportunity for yourself to develop your own career path. I will leave this, I'll put this slide back up again maybe at the end, but that is the list of all our further education and training centres across Laois and Offaly. So they're well spread out. You have Clara, Tullamore, Edenderry, Mount Mellick, Portarlington, Portlaoise, Mount Lucas, Banagher, Burr, Portlaoise, Abbeyleix. So we're well spread out across, I suppose, the two counties. Thanks a million, Ronan.
Not at all. Thank you, Jolene. And I just see there's one or two questions there in the chat and stuff around maybe resources and potential opportunities from the clean room training. You might just take a look at those and come back to the participants on them also. I'm going to move on to our next speaker. He's Dara Cruz. He's the General Manager of the Midlands Park Hotel in Portlaoise. Absolutely fabulous Midlands Park Hotel, it must be said. And like that, like a lot of hotels in this country, it's been a rough enough year, I suppose, in some regards, between opening and then being forced to close again. And Dara can talk talk about all the associated, problems that brings as well, and motivating staff, training staff. But I suppose he's really here today as well to talk about the opportunities that will be available in that sector when, things get reopened again. So Dara, you're very welcome to the webinar.
Thank you very much indeed, Ronan. And just to take on a point Adele raised, I thought it was very good. Unemployment is just a blip, and there's bountiful amounts of opportunity in the hospitality industry. I'd like to share our story in the Midlands Park, but equally just to really emphasize a position of hope. And to reinforce that, I just left another call with the Irish Hotel Federation, and after a survey carried out by all its members, we estimate that there's over 23,000 jobs nationally required in our industry to get back to the 2019 levels. So there is ample opportunity within the hospitality industry, and I'm here to talk about our hotel and how it fits into that. And I have a small little presentation, if I'm able to bring that up on screen, Ronan.
Yeah, it might just need Aideen or someone there just to make you a co-host there, so they'll get that done. Great. A little bit about myself. My role is, the title is General Manager of the Midlands Hotel, and there's a broad spectrum of responsibility that fits into that. Most importantly, at the heart of everything we do is to try and provide a great employment, and a great employment for people wishing to join our industry. We would be seen as an industry that requires a lot of people to make things happen in terms of our restaurants and bars. So ensuring that we provide a great environment for people to be successful in is really at the heart of everything I do. And I'm very passionate about it, and I'm very passionate about trying to provide an environment where people can grow and grow their skills. And in the presentation, I'd like to just share a couple of simple stories and go from there. That's ready for you there now, Dara, yeah? Yeah. Now share my screen, lovely. Make sure I pick the right presentation. No judgment. Okay, I'm unsure if you can see that. So yep, we have it. Yeah. Yep. Brilliant. If you just want to bring it to slideshow, then we're fine. Great. Yep. Perfect. So Midlands Park Hotel is a 116 bedroom hotel located in the heart of the community, in the heart of Portlaoise, primarily aimed at a conference and events market. We have a large ballroom that can host over 400 people at any one time. And our mission is creating incredible experience for our guests. In order to do that, we really need to have a very focused and a very engaged workforce. So a huge amount of work, as I mentioned earlier, is all about creating an environment where people can come, enjoy being part of the team at the hotel, and go on to deliver exceptional service. Our vision in the hotel is to be a leading 4-star hotel and be recognized as delivering exceptional care and guests for everyone. And that's not just for our customers. Our 100% guest satisfaction and reputation as an incredible place to work means that our guests will want to return time and time again. Our mission to achieve that, we're relentlessly focused in equal measures on creating a caring environment for each other and one for our guests, while we deliver exceptional care for our guests. I think that's really important, is that the environment that people come to work in is one that they feel proud of, and wearing the Midlands Park badge on the chest is a signature of pride. And it's something that we work in the hotel every day. Despite the current situation that we find ourselves in, it's really important that we maintain that. Our values. So we have 4 key values at the heart of everything we do. Caring for our guests and caring for each other is at the heart of everything we do. We're always challenging ourselves to get better. There's a Japanese philosophy called Kaizen, and I'll talk about a little later in our lean elements. And they're the things that we're always trying to look at. How can we improve our service, our environment, the quality of what we do? The little picture on the right-hand side, there's numerous amounts of occasions where you see the staff bonding together over various different events. And really, we're always asking ourselves, how can we get better? What can we do to improve the everyday things? The next piece of doing the right thing is really all about our integrity and how we work and do the right things when no one is watching. So it's really important. It's about building trust, and it's about building an environment where that no matter what's happening, we're always focused on doing the right thing. And what we ask is everybody brings a positive energy and drive to their roles. So if you feel that
you're sitting there watching this presentation and those values appeal to you, and perhaps maybe the Midlands Park or even the wider hospitality industry is an area that you could see your career in the future, and one that you could help build our business as well. Within the business, we've 3 key restaurants and bars. So we've the Charter Bar and Eatery, we've got Kelly's Steakhouse and Trio Restaurant. Each of them in their own right has unique aspects, and they're so well received. We've obviously put a huge amount of energy and time into making sure that they're very safe environments in today's COVID world. And we look forward to reopening them to the general public in mid-June, I believe. I'm hopeful we'll get some news on that next week. That's another story. But definitely at the heart of that, we need people like the people listening in today to come and join us and help create those caring moments and those moments of joy for people. So it is really important that if these brands and these stories resonate with you, that you feel welcome to come and talk to myself or any of my colleagues. And I'm not here just promoting my hotel. I also want to be very open to the rest of my colleagues in the industry. We are looking forward to rebuilding the industry, and we really do require people to support us in that. In terms of career pathways, there's 4 people here on the picture. Darren on the left-hand side with the bottle of vodka. Joe is the gentleman smiling there. Julie at our front desk, and Shauna is our restaurant manager in Trio. And each of them are indicative of the career paths that are available to people in the industry. Shauna started in the hotel the same week as I did, and she started as a waitress. And 3.5 years later, she is the restaurant manager running one of our businesses. She has a team of about 15 to 20 people on her schedule, on her roster, and she's responsible for their growth and development. She's a wonderful person to work alongside, and we've really worked together to help her grow and take on additional responsibility. Darren joined us as a bartender in Kelly's restaurant and has worked his way up to an assistant manager level and has lots of ambition and aspirations for the future. Likewise, Joe joined us as a kitchen porter in the kitchen. He's now looking after the role of night manager in the hotel. And when we reopen in the future, he will be moving to the daytime role to assist the operations. And Julie has a wonderful story. She had a strong career path in the financial services business and elected to join us in hospitality. And her personality warms to our industry like butter to toast. She's just an incredibly infectious person. And I find working with each of those individuals gives you so much joy. And I believe each of them have gone on a great career path. They've taken on lots of learning and development. And working with the LOETB, we've been able to supercharge their career growth. So it's been a win-win situation working with Jolene and her colleagues. Things that we do to make our environment step out. There's a couple of pictures there. On the top right-hand corner is our canteen, and we call it the superhero hub because we believe all our employees are superheroes and they deliver exceptional experiences. We're very much focused on, as I said it before, creating an environment where people can be successful. My job is to make sure the groundwork is there, that when people join our team, they really feel appreciated. We've done great things like the Fish-a-thon. That was a competition we did last year when we weren't able to have our traditional employee events. So we went outdoors, and Aidan and Lucas, 2 of our colleagues, are passionate about fishing. So we brought a good bit of joy there. The picture of myself and Jamie hugging is, Jamie was our employee of the month for December in 2019. And Jamie comes to work every day. He has certain needs that we're able to fulfill, and he's really captured all our imagination in the hotel, and I can't wait for him to come back to work with us. And really, I can't emphasize enough the importance of people in our business. Our job is to share joy and ensuring that if you were to join ourselves or our industry, you really feel part of that spirit. In working with the LOETB, we've undertaken a huge amount of training. I believe my job is, or I believe I've been fortunate enough in my career. I didn't go to college, or I didn't take in part in a 3rd level education. So any learnings that I've been able to acquire along the road have all been through supports of education boards or companies I've worked for. And I really want to make sure that we in the Midlands Park replicate that, and the people that join us don't just join for a job today, but they're being upskilled for the future. So we've taken on the Learn and Lean program, and we've taken on great customer service. We've also completed HACCP training and QQI awards to support that. So we're not only skilling people for today's job, but we're also helping develop leaders for the future. So that's something that's really important to us in the hotel. As I said before, everything we really do is to try and create incredible experience for our guests. So that's really the end of my presentation. Just a short, insightful piece on the hotel. I've included my mobile number and my email address there, and I'd welcome anyone that wishes to discuss the hospitality industry further. Reach out to me by WhatsApp or send me an email. I'd love to have a chat to people that see something in my presentation that resonates with them, and perhaps maybe is a career path that they'd like to follow. And thank you very much for your time, and I do wish everybody success in their future endeavours in returning to the workforce. Thank you.
Thank you, Dara. Always fascinating to hear you speak as well about the importance of people and the staff. And I mean, it's borne out by those pictures there too. I have a question from one of our attendees. They're just asking about what does it makes a CV stand out? So if that lands in your HR department's desk, what makes it, from a job seeker's point of view, what would make a CV stand out, or what would catch your attention?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think don't try and oversell yourself. I don't think you should try and make your CV sound bigger than it actually is. I think a CV is an introduction. I think professionalism, simplicity, outline the jobs that you've done. We receive quite a large amount of CVs, so you have to make sure that it's well presented, it's structured well. If there is gaps in your CV that you haven't been working, they're perfectly explainable when you talk to people. So I would be open and honest, and don't hide anything. We've all had times in our career where jobs haven't worked out, and what you see is when you start picking through CVs, you say, why did they leave that job, or what happened there? You start developing concerns about the candidate, and I think it's really important that if you are preparing your CV and a job has ended, you're open and honest about that, and that you don't try and hide it. Ultimately, your job in the recruitment is to offer a potential employer, such as myself, a snapshot of what you've done in your previous life and how that is relevant to future endeavours. And I think it's also important that you really select well who you wish to position yourself with. If your skill set is not in a retail environment or in a hospitality environment, please try and focus on the environments that you have the skills in. Quite often you get blankety CVs sent in through various different online platforms, and they've applied for 7 or 8 different jobs for the same company, and you recognize that they're really just throwing a wide net. So I would say take your time, research, and be specific about the application that you want to make, and spend the time making an impact with the documentation that you send through. Double check your work and make sure it's as professional as you can be.
Sound advice indeed, Dara. Thank you for that. You mentioned there at the start that there'll be about 23,000 jobs to be filled in the coming years, or that within this sector. I'd imagine then a lot of people who have never worked in that industry before, the doors will be open for them. I suppose we're talking there to transferable skills. Have you any examples maybe of somebody coming from an entirely different industry that just is a perfect fit for the hotel sector?
Yeah, hundreds of examples and people that have gone on to make huge careers in the industry that have skills in other areas, but that they're transferable. And one springs to mind, and he's a very good friend of mine and he's a good colleague of mine, and that's Dennis Ryan. Dennis is our stores manager. So Dennis had a background in computer software, and he was managing the logistics for a company in Carlow. That company ceased to trade in Carlow, and he went into a drinks distribution business, and he was the warehouse manager there. Dennis joined us about 4.5 years ago as our stock and warehouse manager in the business. And in the last 3 years, we've helped him grow his career and sustained employment. And he's also taken on lean training. He's also taken on customer service training, and he's also taken on health and safety training. He now is our health and safety officer in the business. He also helps us carry out management shifts in the business. So he was very focused on our back of house areas and the heart of the house. he's transferred his skills up to dealing with customers, helping the business operation deal with high volume periods in our business. And he's a tremendous asset to our organization. And he's a great example of someone who has a particular set of skills, but has an open mindset or a growth mindset, and is willing to transfer in for the greater good of the organization.
I know it's so crucial, though, you're also providing the training opportunities for the employees as well. And just very briefly, Dara, in terms of job vacancies and that, if and when they arise, where is the best place to see those? I know in the past you've had open events and things like that. What's the plan for the rest of the year?
Yeah, thanks, Ronan, for giving me that opportunity. If you go on our website and on our various different social media channels, we do have communication and email addresses to send to. I've included mine on the presentation. Excuse me, I'm happy to receive them. Equally, my colleague in HR would be happy to receive them, and I can share any further details that's needed with anybody of interest via Jolene and the LOETB.
Brilliant. Dara, thanks a million. I know you have another engagement there as well. Not at all. Thank you for taking the time out this afternoon. And again, if you have any more questions for anybody that's here today, and indeed the panel that are behind the scenes there too, keep using the Q&A function and keep those questions coming in. We're glad to field them as well. We're going to move on because time is ticking too. I'd like to introduce our next speaker, and that's from Mozart Architects, Bevan Kennedy, and she's here to talk about the whole area around NZEB and retrofitting too. Mozart is architects that specialise in the design and certification of high performance buildings. They also deliver a range of NZEB and trade-specific courses through the education and training boards. Very much looking forward to hearing what Bevan has to bring to us today. You're very welcome to the webinar, Bevan. Hello, Bevan, are you muted still? Just Bevan, if you can just
I'm using Zoom all day and I still can't work it. But anyway,
no problem at all. Thank you.
You can hear me now. You can see the screen. Yeah.
Yep, all good.
Hi, I'm Bevan Kennedy. I work for an architecture firm based in Wicklow, but essentially there are 3 different strains to our firm. We obviously deal with the design of buildings. We have a consultancy aspect to the firm as well, but also we deal in education, and I'm more talking about the opportunities within the construction sector, but also linking in with what Jolene said today about the education opportunities and the courses that are available at Mount Lucas moving forward to upskill people in the NZEB and retrofit construction trade. So just to give a bit of background on Mozart, we're a firm with 25 years experience, and the co-founders, Tomas and Art, have both been responsible for building the first passive house in the English-speaking world, and also for retrofitting one of the first passive house retrofits. So, you know, we've been involved in industry for quite a large amount of time. And we're specializing in high performance buildings everywhere from Singapore to Canada to London, New York, etc. So, you know, our focus is definitely green building, sustainable building, and that ties in perfectly with NZEB and retrofit. So just an introduction on what actually NZEB is, because people love their acronyms, but I mean, what does it actually mean, and what do these numbers mean for you? So just to give you a bit of background, Minister Harris identified that there is a massive skills labour shortage in this country. We've been given a directive by Europe. They've devised a climate action plan. And as part of that climate action plan, Ireland agreed to retrofit 500,000 houses before 2030. That's approximately 50,000 retrofits per year. Just to put that into perspective, currently we're retrofitting 2,000 houses per year. So we currently have the workforce in Ireland to retrofit 2,000 houses per year. That needs to be ramped up to 50,000 houses per year. And we currently don't have the tradespeople or the businesses there to facilitate that need. As I said, this is a government pledge. So, I mean, realistically, if they're not seen to be meeting these targets, unfortunately, I assume that we're going to be penalised by Europe. And I mean, those penalties will be in the form of taxes or so forth. But essentially, we have to try and meet this target or be as close as possible to that target. In addition to this promise to retrofit 500,000 houses, we've also have to remember that there is a new build housing crisis. You know, 4 to 5% of our existing housing stock is growing every year in the form of new builds. And we still need those tradespeople to create those new buildings, but also they need to be built in conjunction with the new building regulations, which I'm going to talk to you about in a couple of seconds. As I said, the government have identified this need, and Minister Harris announced funding for 5 of these national centres of excellence. And as Jolene has mentioned already, Mount Lucas is the centre of excellence for the Midlands. You know, obviously Laois, Offaly, ETB, but as a central hub, the Mount Lucas Retrofit Centre, NZEB and Retrofit Centre is going to be one of the centres of excellence in the country. I'm going to talk you through some of the courses that are available there, but also show you some of the facilities that we have so that you can get an idea about the facility there. Just a little note. So when we're talking about NZEB, we're referring to nearly zero energy building. And again, it's a pledge or an agreement between the Irish government and Europe to retrofit or upgrade our existing housing stock, but also to build new houses that are efficient and are consuming nearly zero energy, essentially. When we're talking about retrofitting, then we're talking about upgrading existing housing stock to improve energy efficiency. So, you know, it's not just a matter of rocking up to somebody's house and saying that you can internally insulate or you can install photovoltaic panels. There's more actually to that now. The construction industry is becoming a highly regulated industry. And we need to upskill the tradespeople, but also we need to move additional people into this area to meet this skills deficit. Okay, so these are the 2 most recent set of building regulations, and essentially everything NZEB, everything retrofit, everything that's being done in the housing sector at the minute is coming from one of these documents. So I just wanted to introduce these to you. You know, maybe you were working in the construction industry and you've fallen out of it or whatever. If you start, you know, delving back into it, these documents are going to be central to you, you know, honing in on your skills and moving forward within the industry. So if we're talking about the construction industry, as I've said already, it's now highly regulated. It's all part of this EPBD, which I've got referenced here, which is the European Performance Building Directive. And everything that we're doing now is stipulated in this Annex 1 of the EPBD. And when we're talking about nearly zero, we're talking about a very low amount of energy required, and it has to come from renewable sources. So 20% of your energy now that's being consumed on site has to come from renewable sources on site. These building regulations came into full force as of the 31st of October last year. So, you know, any house that's going to be finished moving forward has to be built to NZEB standard. And there are certain, you know, requirements within Part L or Building Regulation L that stipulate that you need to have different ventilation strategies. And from that, then there is a need for mechanical ventilation strategies, which also then leads into job opportunities. Okay, so some job opportunities within the construction sector. I'm going to display these again at the end, but essentially these are opportunities within the sector that, you know, companies will be looking for people to do these jobs, but also, you know, there is huge potential there for you to set up your own company and potentially go into one of these areas if they are of interest to you. So with regards to retrofitting, you're looking at internal and external wall insulation. You could also be talking about roof insulation, window and door replacement. With regards to retrofitting as well, we're looking at draft proofing. We're talking about mold remediation. And I'm not talking about just going in and spraying disinfectants and getting rid of the mold. You know, there's actual hard science behind why that mold is occurring. And you need to get into the weeds a little bit and identify where the issues are, where are the thermal bridges, you know, and solve those problems so that ultimately you are getting rid of that mold. The draft proofing is something massive, and we'll see that in a few minutes with some of the pictures, but essentially we should no longer be living in leaky houses. There should not be drafts in houses. And moving forward with the NZEB building model, there will not be drafts in houses. So we need to understand how to draft proof houses appropriately to meet those requirements. With regards to ventilation systems then, there's a blower door test carried out on every new house nowadays. And if that blower door number is below 3, you must employ a mechanical ventilation system within your house. So, you know, there is opportunities within sale of ventilation systems. There's also massive opportunities between amongst designing these systems, commissioning them, going on site, balancing them, but also with regards to the validating. So for every ventilation system that's fitted into a property, that system needs to be validated, okay? And it will be validated by an independent validator, and every house now needs to be validated. With regards to heat pump sales, then we've got our installation of heat pumps, our servicing of heat pumps, and you know, there are massive movements in the heat pump industry. Grant Engineering in Birr proudly says that they employ, you know, a huge percentage of people around the country, but also within the maintenance, within the servicing sectors, you know. So there are massive companies out there who are employing huge amounts of people now in the heat pump sales, installation, servicing and commissioning. If you think about these systems, I put a ventilation system into a house, I put a heat pump into a house, I put a photovoltaic panel into a house. Those systems all need to be maintained moving forward. And, you know, if you are an electrician or if you are a plumber, these areas are perfect for you to potentially move into. So that's just something to be aware of as well. You know, when you see the courses that are being offered in Mount Lucas in a minute, how they link in with these job opportunities, there is huge potential out there for employment. I've already touched on the photovoltaic panels, but essentially we're looking at renewable energy sales. Photovoltaics or PV panels are going to be the most popular renewable energy source moving forward. As I said, houses need to produce a certain amount of renewable energy on site now. That figure is 20%. So 20% of primary energy demand must be produced on site. And most people are meeting that 20% threshold just by installing a heat pump, an air to water heat pump. If additionally you want to move down the route of passive house standard, you can employ a PV panel or install a PV panel. But yeah, moving forward, it's going to be heat pumps, it's going to be ventilation, and it's going to be PV panels, all of which are heavily regulated, and you need to be trained appropriately in each of these. So if we look then at the NZEB and QQI courses that are offered at Mount Lucas currently, we're hoping to offer 3 QQI qualifications. One has already, we've had one cohort go through, it's in thermal insulation installation. And that's looking at your external and internal installations and your roof insulation. But you get a level 5 qualification at the end of that. We're looking at bringing in 2 retrofit programs. So the retrofit specific, looking at building services, which again would be a level 5 QQI, and another one in basic construction skills. So we were talking earlier about transferable skills. Maybe you have skills in the construction industry, you've always thought about coming into it, but you were never really sure of where to start off. So this level 3 may be a good starting point for you. And then in addition to this, we have a suite of NZEB courses, which are all City and Guilds accredited. And they include the ventilation qualification. The fundamental awareness course is just a basic introduction into the NZEB principles, and then you can decide afterwards if you want to go into retrofit, or if you want to go into ventilation, or if you want to become a site supervisor or whatever. You can then lead into some of the other courses, but it's just a nice introduction, and it allows you to see potential opportunities within the industry. And then we've got specific trade-specific NZEB qualifications. I mentioned the retrofit already, and the site supervisor. So that's just the suite of courses. They're being offered through LOETB at Mount Lucas at the minute, and Mossart are the training providers there. Okay, so this just gives you an example of some of the rigs that we have in Mount Lucas. So it's essentially a massive warehouse with a whole load of simulated construction details in there. Okay, so this is our bungalow rig, and you'll see here a cohort installing external insulation. But prior to actually getting out here and doing the practical activities, we would have talked in detail about building science, building physics, so that these people who are now externally insulating our rig understand the fundamental principles and who are going to carry out those installations correctly. I didn't have any photos of the internal installation, but the inside of that bungalow is where we then carry out the internal installation. And there are two methods that we use in Mount Lucas. They're both simulated here with CAD drawings or CAD detail, but essentially we would be teaching the correct methodologies underpinned by building physics and science principles. And we're teaching those at Mount Lucas as well. So this is our thermal insulation installation qualification. In addition to this, then we have a massive roof rig. And this is really exciting actually, because we're looking at retrofitting this roof to increase the insulation values within the ceiling. This is what it looks like from the front. But moving forward, actually, we're going to slate and tile each of these roof rigs. And heat merchants have come on board, and they've actually given us a number of photovoltaic panels. So we're going to look at how do we actually install these on the roof correctly as well. And that's going to be part of our building services qualification moving forward. This is just an example of the correct method for installing insulation around your cold water storage tank in the attic, and then also the correct way to insulate your attic hatch and your roof insulation. So they're just some photos that just give you an idea of the practical activities that are going on in Mount Lucas. You know, it's not just go and be lectured at for 5 days. We're actually spending a huge amount of time out in the workshop, in the warehouse. This is a really, really interesting course offering. So with regards to the new Part L legislation, it states that anybody who is installing a ventilation system, be it natural ventilation or mechanical, needs to now be accredited and they need to prove competency. There's two methods of proving competency. You can do a QQI qualification, or you can do a City and Guilds accredited qualification through the ETB. And these are the ventilation rigs that we hope to have installed in Mount Lucas. It's under construction at the minute. So we have an example of ventilation bay. You will learn how to install the ducting. You will learn how to take readings from the extract and supply valves. And just be aware as well that, you know, we are leading the way here with regards to education in this field. This is my colleague Dara, and he actually wrote this ventilation specification in conjunction with the Housing Development Association and with the SCAI and with Gov.ie. So there is quite a lot of people involved in these, but you know, these courses are state of the art. You get to see, feel, and use the materials. And just, I think I've got 2 more slides. So we're looking just at some of the air tightness rigs then. As I mentioned, each house moving forward can't be leaky, can't be drafty. If I'm going into retrofit these houses, I need to get rid of those leaks and drafts. So these again are just some of the teaching aids that we employ to ensure that you understand the concept fully and can then install this appropriately on site. This is a blower door test. This again is a major opportunity. In previous regulations, only 1 in 10 houses needed to be blower door tested. Now every house needs to have a blower door test carried out. So again, if you're looking at opportunities or niches in the market, getting trained up in the blower door may be another area that you're interested in. So just to go through those job opportunities again and just put them back on screen. As I've said already, retrofitting, internal and external wall insulation, roof insulation as we've seen, window and door replacement is going to be huge moving forward, draft proofing, mold remediation, ventilation sales, design, commissioning, validation, heat pumps, renewable energy sales. If you have any inquiries about any of these courses, if you get onto Jolene Hall of the ETB, jhall at loetb.ie, she can guide you, give you course dates, etc. Some of the rigs are under construction at the minute, but we hope to be up and fully operational by June. So yeah, that's all from me. Thanks for your time today.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Bevan. And I have to say, seeing the practical examples, particularly the rigs out in Mount Lucas and how you go about educating people on it was fantastic. I think it really brings it home to people too. So again, for anybody watching, if you have questions there, Jolene's email, or there's been links put in the chat as well for feedback on today, and for if you need any more information from any of the speakers or any of the courses or any of the supports that have been spoken about today. Bevan, thank you so much for that very comprehensive update as well. We're going to move on, and I'm going to introduce our next speaker. He's John McAvoy. He's the General Manager at Grow Remote, a fascinating organisation that was really only set up a few short years ago. And their whole modus operandi and what they're trying to do is they're a social enterprise that's on a mission to enable us to work, live and participate locally in our communities. To do this by making remote work, via employment, both visible and accessible to everyone. So undoubtedly the last year has been an interesting one for everybody at Grow Remote. John, I'd like to pass the floor over to you.
Thank you very much, Ronan, and to everybody else who's spoken already. Great to be here, great to have the opportunity to share a little bit about what we do and the opportunities that we know are out there in terms of remote work right now. And also just want to say, thanks a million to all the team at LOETB for making our programs and all this work possible. It's really, really important work. I'm just going to share my screen as well. And I assume people can see that. So I'm going to fly through a few slides here. Like Ronan said, we're a social enterprise. We are working to develop the ecosystem of remote working. We do that by working with all stakeholders, and namely that's companies, communities and individuals. That's mainly what I'll talk about today in the training offerings. But we find that we really believe that there's huge untapped potential for, remote working can really help transform our lives, but particularly our communities. If people can live and work wherever they want, life should be so much better for everybody. And we believe that's possible, and it's on track. The big message I suppose I want to get out there is that people can't really say, sure, there's no jobs around here anymore. That's just not true anymore. We know there's lots of jobs. Now, I'm not saying that those jobs are accessible to people or that they're the right type of jobs, but the fact that there's jobs everywhere right now. In fact, there's a huge number of jobs. We know that there are 55,000 jobs available, remote jobs available to anybody in Ireland right now. These jobs, of course, won't all land in Ireland. These are remote jobs. They can land anywhere in the EU or in our time zone. And you'll see in the map on the screen there, that these jobs arrive in clusters. And, and why does that happen? So firstly, these are big remote companies have huge access to talent. They don't need to advertise in the traditional way. They won't be advertising in the local newspaper or on the local radio station. And a lot of these jobs are got through word of mouth and through contacts and through referrals. Because obviously if they can hire anybody anywhere in Europe, sometimes even anywhere in the world, but very often it is limited to a time zone, they've got huge access to talent. So that was one of the big problems we spotted. So we went about solving that. We have a jobs board, which is up on our website, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a couple of minutes, where a lot of these remote jobs that are available right now are up. So how did we go about solving for this? So we built communities, and this is before my time at Grow Remote. The co-founders identified that one of the big problems was getting this information about these jobs and where they are out to the communities. And as well as that, communities of remote workers, what we call chapters. We've got 130 of these chapters in total. About half of that number is in Ireland. But one of the big things they solve for is isolation. So I know that we've all been working from home during a pandemic, but that's not what we mean when we say remote working. Remote working, hopefully, in a post-pandemic world, it'll be much nicer. People will be able to get out and about, they'll be able to work for the local hub or spend some time in the local coffee shop while getting their work done in their own time, and not maybe stuck in at a kitchen table or maybe in a bedroom like they might have experienced in during lockdown. And as well as that, it's when people start interacting locally. So if a few of the companies that you might have seen on the previous slide there, like the Shopify, GitLab, Glowfox, Flipdish. These aren't companies that people hear of all the time. And again, it's for the same reason. They don't need to advertise their jobs in the traditional way. But all these companies have lots of jobs on offer right now. And it's usually when somebody, oh, I know somebody working there, or, you know, or my cousin or brother or whoever it is. And that's how these jobs start to grow in communities. And when 2 or 3 people get these jobs in a community and there's a local community of remote workers, that number of jobs continues to grow. From a community development perspective as well, we know that for every 3 jobs that arrive in a community from remote work, it sustains another 2 jobs locally. So that's about a ratio of 1 is to 0.7. So those other 2 jobs are jobs like the jobs in the shops or the coffee shops or whatever, but because there's extra activity, there's extra economic activity in the local community. All these jobs, well, a lot of these jobs, can't say all of them because it's quite a manual task, are up on our website. We can share the slides later if people want. It's a jobs board. And there's over 200 jobs up there right now. Including a job with ourselves, by the way. We're recruiting an operations lead if anybody's interested in that. And you can find that by going to growremote.ie. So I've talked about a lot of the jobs that are up there and are available in the remote world right now. But that doesn't mean that like people are in a position to access those jobs. You know, people mightn't have the right skills, they mightn't have the confidence, they mightn't know what remote work is really like. Do they want to test the water? Do they want to find out about it? So we have a program which we're really proud of, and which we've developed in partnership with LOETB, and thanks again folks for today and all the support. Also with Solace and IDA, who are our other partners on the program. And we've ran this program a number of times now, and it's been really successful. I'll go into a little bit of detail about this, but not too much. This program basically has 3 parts. We've got online self-paced piece. We've got weekly calls where we discuss the content of the online self-paced modules and everything to do with remote work, and we get in guest speakers. And there's also a customer success and client relations QQI module that makes up the program. It's run over a period of weeks. It's usually 8 weeks, but it could be run longer depending on people's times availability. And I won't go through the list of things that we cover on a week-to-week basis. You can see them there on the slides. Okay, so there's quite a lot, I suppose. The big thing is that it's very kind of interconnected. We see remote working and the customer success and the live calls all makes up one program that really ideally places people in a position to get remote jobs at the end of the program. We have a strong link with employers who are hiring remotely. A few of them are up there again, and they come in and they speak on the course, and I think that makes a huge difference. So at the end of the course, you're after meeting, for example, John from Shopify, who might be reviewing your CV. It's not kind of a thing that's all out there in outer space. It's very real. It's somebody you know. And that these companies are growing. A lot of tech companies are growing really fast, but I have to say a lot of the jobs that are advertised remotely are not tech jobs. There is a myth that like only tech jobs are remote jobs. There's much other jobs, including a lot of customer service jobs, but really good jobs as well. So jobs that have things like really good holidays, quite good sick pay, other benefits. That are not easy to come by, pensionable jobs. And that's important for us to say when we talk about remote work. We're not talking about gig economy jobs. We're not talking about freelance. We're talking about proper pensionable long-term jobs that make a real difference in people's lives, but also to the communities that they're in. And ultimately, I suppose we see ourselves as that's our ultimate aim, is to support communities to flourish. And we feel that this is a really important part of that. I suppose the program says a lot about, people as individuals, and what we try to do is that we develop an individual plan, like with the support of the tutor or the facilitator, like everybody decides what type of job would they like to get into, for example, because it's such a wide range of jobs that are out there at the minute. I'm very conscious of the time, so I'm going to skip on. Again, these slides are available. You'll see the soft skills and a little look into what the portal would be like that you'd be working from. And also at the end of this course, people get the accreditation of a digital badge. This is the first of its type in the country, and we're linked with several employers. We've got 5 or 6 employers on our employer partnership program, the likes of HubSpot, Shopify, Glowfox, these companies that mightn't be household names, but these companies have inputted into the program. So if they see you've got this badge on your CV, it's already like a step ahead a lot of the competition when they're looking at CVs. So I'm just going to skip ahead to the end. The course takes about 50 hours to complete in total, but there's one slide here in particular I wanted to show you. So people often ask, what type of jobs do people get? So we did a quick survey. We know that so far this year, of the people who've completed the course just this year, 16 people have got jobs, and we were trying to do a little bit of an analysis of what type of jobs they are, and they're actually all very different. There's a wide range of jobs, and a wide range of people have got those jobs as well. So really, like, I think the world of remote has lots to offer people, and I think our biggest challenge is to demystify it, and like for people who believe it mightn't be for them, to just take a look. And again, these courses have been run on a regular basis. I think there's a new one starting every couple of weeks. Yvonne can tell you a little bit more about that. There's an opportunity to apply for these courses right now, either through the Fetch website or through our own website. And I'm going to leave it at that, Ronan, because I'm conscious of the time. So thanks very much, or I could take questions if you like.
Yeah, no, I think thanks a million, John. And I think you've demystified it, that I think a lot of people would associate remote working with very tech heavy roles, but even that slide you've up there at the minute is a real eye opener. And here you talk about like retail and customer service and stuff. And I think just to give people the awareness of the range of jobs and I suppose how things have changed. But just one quick question I'll put you, like you touch on it there, that, if more people continue to work remotely as we go forward, it then throws up other opportunities like for coffee shops and for our town centres and things like that, which kind of fits nicely back in with some of the other courses the LOETB are currently running.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's fundamental to how we believe this movement will have its biggest impact. That we feel that there's a very kind of cyclical relationship between remote work, the individuals who get the jobs, obviously, and the communities that they live in, and demystifying, it's that thing of 1 or 2 people getting these jobs in a locality, the other people find out about them. Those people, whether they like it enough, they almost become champions or pioneers for remote work, and that cycle can continue to grow. So like local communication and local community is really important for that to happen.
Yeah, it's fascinating as well to hear that. Yep, that kind of whole all-inclusive kind of cyclical thing, lots to be happening there. So again, for anybody that wants to find out more about the types of skills and the courses that are available, we're going to be joined now by Lisa McAvoy first, and then by Yvonne Fye from the LOETB to really talk about digitalisation and the type of skills that you will need going forward, and indeed how you can go about beginning to inquire those. So Lisa, I'll hand over to you.
That's great. Thanks, Ronan. I'm just going to share my screen now if I can.
Yep, something's happening anyway.
Something's happening.
Okay, we have you. If you just bring up your slideshow, then we're ready to go.
Yeah, I think we should be okay now. Yeah,
perfect.
Yep. Thanks, Ronan. So my name is Lisa McAvoy and I work at the Offaly ETB, and I suppose today I just wanted to talk a little bit around digitalisation and how I suppose how we're approaching that in Laois Offaly ETB in terms of the programmes we're providing, the training and education programmes. So I suppose just to start off, what is meant by digital skills, because there's a lot of talk of digitalisation, digital skills nowadays. So digital skills, they're broadly defined as those needed to use digital devices, communication applications, networks sent to access and manage information. So that's basically it in a nutshell. And although the terminology may seem excessive on it, it's basically where you use digitalization or a digital means to communicate. And nowadays, I suppose we're looking, because of COVID and all the rest of it, and we've been, I suppose, subtly pushed into a digital world. But when you look at why now it's important, there's 2 elements to it. So there's, because of quality of life, so to enhance our own quality of lives, we need to be looking at the whole area of digitalization and digital skills, and then for employment opportunities. So I suppose to kind of delve a little bit more into that and to link it to the courses we provide, I suppose for anybody who maybe is online there and they're looking at themselves in terms of the skills they have at the minute, be it on a phone or be it on a PC or a laptop or a tablet. Really what we're promoting at LOE2B is an entry point for anybody, regardless of what skills they have at the minute. So if it's a thing that you want to learn how to use your smartphone, you know, maybe it's a thing that you have a tablet or an iPad and you don't know how to use it, or it could be a thing that you're afraid, you know, to switch it on, to get going on it, because a lot of times we find that learners come to us and they have, you know, the devices, but they're not sure of how to even get going because they're afraid that they're going to do something wrong or download something, or something worse is going to happen, the actual device. So regardless of where you're located across Laois and Offaly, Jolene, I know at the beginning there, she put up the different contact details and the locations of our FET centres. So we're really promoting that all of our FET centres will have these types of courses for anybody that wants to get involved in digital skills going forward. So we've beginner computer courses, we have courses then to show somebody how to do online banking, online shopping. I know PayPal, you know, up to recent times, PayPal was the way people went, and now we're all talking about Revolut. So even ourselves, we're only catching up. And anybody that has children and was, what would you say, introduced to the whole concept of homeschooling, the word seesaw and Aladdin, I know for me anyway, they've taken on a completely new meaning. So under family learning, we do have the means to introduce digital skills to parents. So those options are there for people as well. Apps, we do have programs with a couple of tutors delivering programs around introduction to apps, be it on your phone or on your iPad. And of course, we're all here logged on Zoom. And, you know, a year or 2 years ago, we wouldn't have imagined that would be the case. So Zoom and Teams training is available for anybody that does want that as well in any of our locations. So in terms of progressing a little bit then, you know, at QQI programs then at level 2 and level 3, so you're talking about less than junior cert level in terms of certification, you know, you can come in and learn how to use the internet, how to set up spreadsheets, a little bit more around internet email databases and basic office skills for anybody maybe that's considering a career in the whole area of office skills. We do have programs at a basic level to get you started. Also options in retail where we've IT programs integrated into it. They're available in some of our FET centres as well. Progression options then, when you move on a little bit, you're talking about, you know, be it full or part-time, or sometimes, you know, people, they might prefer to do a course in the evening. We do have part-time evening options as well as day options in most of our centres too. So whether it's a thing you want to do computer applications, we've office skills, we've IT skills then, and then you're talking about the likes of accountancy, bookkeeping, so those specific areas where you need IT, business admin and payroll. So regardless, you know, of what area or what point you think you're at the minute, really you should get in touch with us and we can put you on a program that will actually, I suppose, respond to the needs that you have in terms of getting going with your digital skills. I know at the beginning, Jolene talked about learner support. So a lot of the time in terms of digital skills, we might have learners coming onto programs such as, you know, healthcare, childcare, you know, they want to be a childcare worker, working in the HC, in the hospitals and different things like that. And there isn't the realization is not there maybe that there's an element of digital skills required on your program. So, you know, in order to type assignments and those kind of things, do presentations. So in all of our programs, we envisage that we'd have integrated digital skills for anybody that wants to, you know, join, progress, and maybe look at alternative career opportunities going forward. So, from September, we do have taster programs happening in some of our FET centres and in different areas across the communities in Laois and Offaly in different areas. So you might have a 6-week taster program, an 8-week program then as well. And some of the certified programs then could be anything from 20 weeks, maybe one morning a week for 20 weeks or up to 32 weeks for a full-time program then. So depending on what you want to do and I suppose what your availability is as well. We do have those options in LOE2B. So I suppose I know Dara talked in his presentation about, you know, people looking at themselves and their skill sets, and that whole notion of, you know, giving yourself a chance to reinvent yourself and appreciate the skills that you do have, and you know, kind of accept the notion that those skills can be transferred to other areas of work. Well, the same thing does apply to digital skills. So, you know, be it whatever kind of area you think that you're in terms of those 3 different columns, do get in touch if it's a thing that you want to move on with your whole with your digital skills, because we can do our best to support you with that. So I know Yvonne, she's going to talk a little bit about some of the programs that we have that are specific to IT kind of software, those kind of areas of work. So Yvonne, if you want to take over and just give me a nod then when you want to move on to the next page, I'll do that.
Will do. Thanks a million, Lisa.
Awesome.
If you can move, what did I say, roll it there, Lisa.
Roll it there, yeah.
Late. Thanks a million. I'm just going to really quickly go a little bit back over the program that John outlined earlier. It's a remote work ready program, and it is 8 weeks in duration currently. So currently, we're running this program, and I've just shared the link. If you're interested, I've just shared the link there in the chat function. What I would just want to, obviously, everything that John says, 100% agree with, and we're so delighted to work with Grow Remote on this. They've really opened up our eyes. What I really wanted to stress about this is that this program is not just a response to COVID. So we were already working on this program because we identified the area of remote work as such an area of opportunity. Genuinely, if you've never heard of it before, or if you've never kind of understood it fully, or you want to explore more, please have a look at the Grow Remote website, and especially the jobs board. I guarantee you'll be amazed at the opportunities that are there. I certainly was. And like John said, we want to demystify. So we want to take away the fear that it's a scam, that it's not a proper job or whatever, because we have had that feedback pre-COVID. When we were trying to recruit for this program, there was an awful lot of fear out there, which I can absolutely understand. And we're hoping that this program, where we've brought it to now, will take away those fears, at least allay those fears, and at least have you look at the job opportunities that are there. So we're really proud of it. We've developed it in consultation with our partnership, with Solus IDI Ireland and Grow Remote and ourselves. John has outlined the content, and it's twofold. So you'll get QQI certification. You'll also get the digital badge from Grow Remote themselves. Initially, when the program began, there wasn't a digital badge here. Grow Remote and ourselves have worked really hard to get the right competencies there and to get that digital badge up so that it will be recognised by the companies that Grow Remote are working with, and by the companies in that space. So it's a real pioneering, just future-proofed, we hope, program. As I said, it didn't begin as it stands now. So any feedback that we have from learners right from the first program, which kicked off in June, I think, last year, we've taken on that feedback and amended the program to suit. So I know Jolene talked earlier, and as did Lisa, about we have terminology, I suppose, internally, but really what it means to yourselves is that we want feedback from yourselves. So every participant on our programs, we want to hear back, good, bad, or indifferent. We can take it. What you find, how you're finding the training that you're getting on the program, how that helps in the world of work and that sort of thing. So all feedback is taken on board. We really want to stress that. We're running one of these programs at the moment. The demand is such, I'm delighted to say, that one of these starts every 2 or 3 weeks. So there's about 23 people per program, takes 8 weeks, and this one is focused at people who are currently unemployed, would like to upskill and explore those opportunities there in the world of remote work. People are coming from every avenue to partake in this program. So it's not at all for people who are just techie, for want of a better term. So we've people coming back into the workforce actually after taking some time out for childcare reasons or whatever reason. We've people coming from the IT sector, people coming from retail, hospitality, whatever. So all skills are transferable there. Any further information you want to know on this, please give us a shout, and the link is there to to register if, oh, sorry, I'm trying to change my own slide. Lisa, can you just take on to the next slide there? Sorry. So just really quickly, I suppose, and this is what I mean about the learner voice as well and the participation. We asked people who have gone through the program if they would mind us sharing their testimonials. So just rather than me sitting here and telling you how brilliant it is, just this is a little slide for some of the feedback that people have given. So genuinely has enhanced employment opportunity, has really opened people's minds, because what we really want to do, and digitalization is absolutely one of our focuses, but also trying to sustain or trying to help sustain rural communities. So in both our counties, what can we provide to ensure that people can live and participate and work locally? So remote training is very much part of this, but not on its own. So we will have other programs in the areas of sustainability and that kind of thing, because it's just where we see the jobs of the future going to be. This being one of the areas. The other, the next slide is just, it gives a little introduction to 3 programs that we have up at the moment. If people are interested in working in the IT sector, they're short, snappy enough programs, but content heavy, because they're intense, I suppose, and they're leading to Microsoft certification. So Microsoft certification, heavily industry recognized. So if you're interested in maybe beginning your career in the IT sector, if you have a little bit of experience and you want to try and progress on, employment opportunities in these areas are like junior roles in IT, help desk support, cloud services, IT admin, that sort of thing. If it's an area that is of interest to you, these are also up on ZEBQI Courses actually for registration at the moment. We're hoping to start in May. So if anybody is interested in any of those, please let us know. And the next slide then is, sorry, Lisa, I should say that. The next slide then, just to tidy up, because I know you've heard a lot of information today. We really hope that we're showing that we're doing our very best to link the future jobs to the training that we're providing, and just to try and give a clear pathway for people. So as Lisa outlined earlier, do not be afraid to come. We haven't had anyone break an iPad or a PC or a device on us yet. So, and even if you do, that's okay too. You'll learn from that too. So we're always trying to meet people where you're at, no matter what your level is, and you're interested in upskilling in these areas, please give us a shout. There's nothing to say you couldn't start out at just introductory program and then say, oh my God, I love this and I really love to try and move on and work in that area. So we'll have other programs coming up under our skills to compete umbrella, which really is what it says in the tin. So trying to give people skills to compete for future jobs and to progress their employment opportunities. As I said, yeah, trying to make sure that everyone has a clear pathway. So when you start with us, we should be able to kind of take you where you're at this point and see where you want to go. So we have plethora of resources, whether it's literacy resources, digital literacy, guidance service, anything like that. We should be able to help you on your path. So I got the graveyard shift, so I won't keep anyone any longer. We're 32, we're 2 minutes over. Sorry, Ronan.
Not at all, absolutely fine. Thank you. Thanks a million, Yvonne, as well. Very comprehensive overview of those courses. And I see there's 1 or 2 questions there, like asking about specific things about some of the digital courses. So you might just take a look at those and come back to the participants on them. Other than that, I was going to say thank you to all of you for joining us this afternoon. I certainly hope it's been of benefit to you. I think the real underlying message there was always maybe not to be afraid of putting your toe in the water. A lot has changed over the last year. A huge amount has really changed, and you know, it's not that everybody automatically adjusted, and you know, it takes a lot to kind of get, you know, to get a handle on how we do business now, how we communicate with each other. And I heard, you know, we were talking there earlier about, even Lisa mentioned it, about like technology for school. Anybody who's children at home, you're now using technology and software that you never heard of. You know, Zoom is another one that is used every day in work at this stage, and yet a year ago we had no idea what it was. So just be aware of that. There's a lot to take on board, but the courses are there to the likes of the LOETB, and their support's available then to the DSP also. So hopefully you've got some information today that'll be useful for you in your careers going forward. I just say a big thank you to all today's contributors. for taking the time out of their schedules also to come on this evening. And to all of you, I just wish you all the very best in your careers ahead as you look for jobs, as you go to try and maybe move from one sector into another, and maybe as you begin or reignite your education and your personal development. So a very good afternoon to you all. Thank you for listening and for joining us this evening. And remember, the video will be available in the coming couple of hours or coming day, and you can feel free to look back on it or share it with any of your friends or colleagues who might benefit from it all. Thank you, and a very good afternoon to you. Bye-bye.